Chapter 17. Shattered Promises morning light streamed through the curtains, casting a soft glow across the apartment. Tasha sat on the couch, her fingers tightly woven together as she waited. She had barely slept. Her eyes were puffy from crying all night, her heart aching with confusion and pain. She had thought that maybe, just maybe, Eric would wake up and realize what he had done. That he would apologize, hold her, tell her he was just stressed, and that everything would be okay. But when Eric finally stirred from bed, he didn't even look at her. Not a word. No apology. No explanation. He simply got up, freshened up, and began gathering his things to leave. Tasha felt her chest tighten. She stood quickly, stepping in front of the door before he could walk out. "What is wrong with you, Eric?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why are you treating me like this?" Eric exhaled sharply, already annoyed. "Tasha, move. I don't have time for this." Tasha shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "No, I'm your fiancé, Eric. You can't just walk away like this. If I've done something wrong, tell me. I'll apologize, but don't keep shutting me out like I'm nothing." She gestured toward the couch. "I slept there last night. Alone. You didn't even care. And now you're leaving without a single word." Eric clenched his jaw. "I told you I have somewhere to be." Tasha's breath hitched. "Somewhere to be? Where, Eric? Who is more important than your pregnant fiancé?" She stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Is it because I'm pregnant?" Eric's expression flickered for a split second. "Remember," she continued, her voice breaking, "you're the one who said you wanted a baby. You're the one who said you wanted us to settle down. What changed?" Eric snapped. "Why are you always accusing me?" he shouted, his eyes flashing with anger. "You always think everything is my fault. Can't you ever take blame for once?" Tasha's body tensed. "Take blame," she whispered. "For what? Loving you? Carrying your child? Just move." Eric barked. "No." Eric's face twisted with frustration, and then, without thinking, he shoved her aside. Tasha stumbled backward, her foot catching the edge of the coffee table. Her body twisted, and before she could catch herself, crash. Her side slammed into the corner of a chair, pain ripping through her stomach. "Ah!" she screamed, doubling over as sharp agony shot through her. Eric didn't stop. He didn't turn around. He had already slammed the door behind him. A cry for help, Tasha gasped, clutching her belly as searing pain radiated through her. Something was wrong. "Eric!" she sobbed, reaching out toward the door. "Eric, please," but he was gone. Her breath came in ragged pants as she crawled toward the coffee table, her fingers shaking as she reached for her phone. Another wave of pain hit, and she let out a piercing scream. The neighbors heard it. Doors creaked open. Footsteps rushed toward her apartment. By the time someone burst inside, Tasha was bleeding. "Oh my God," a neighbor gasped. "She's pregnant. Someone call an ambulance." Tasha's vision blurred, black dots dancing in front of her eyes. Her fingers trembled as she pressed the emergency call button. "Help me," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Please. My baby." Her strength gave out. The last thing she heard before she collapsed was the sound of sirens in the distance. And then, darkness. Chapter 18. A new life. A lost life. Eric's fresh start. Eric walked away from his old life without looking back. His job was gone. His boss, already fed up with his constant excuses, had told him to stop immediately. But Eric didn't care. A new chapter was already unfolding, one filled with wealth, luxury, and a woman who could give him anything he wanted. As he pulled up to Sophia's estate, he noticed a man standing by the gate, clipboard in hand. "Are you the one coming to check the house?" the man asked. "Yes," Eric replied smoothly. "All right," the man nodded. "Sophia told me to expect you. Follow me. I have 3 beautiful houses to show you. You'll pick the one you like best." Eric's lips curled into a smirk. This is the life. The real estate agent took him through the properties, each one more lavish than the last. High ceilings, modern decor, expensive furniture, state-of-the-art appliances. It was everything he could have dreamed of. After carefully looking through them, Eric finally made his choice, a stunning, fully furnished home near Sophia's company. He settled in quickly, sinking into the plush leather couch. For the first time in a long time, he felt at peace. No worries, no stress, no nagging fiancé. He made himself a meal, enjoying the solitude when his phone buzzed. Sophia calling. A slow grin spread across his face as he answered. Hello, my love, Sophia's smooth voice greeted him. Hi, darling, Eric replied, his tone warm. I heard you picked the house close to my company, she said, a hint of amusement in her voice. Eric chuckled. Yeah, figured it was the best choice. Thank you so much for this. You're welcome, my darling, Sophia purred. Just keep treating me good, and I'll give you everything my money can afford. Eric smirked, leaning back. You know I will. I have to go. I just wanted to check on you. You can start work whenever you want. Your office is right next to mine. Enjoy your new home, my love. Eric grinned. I will, baby. See you soon. As he hung up, he exhaled deeply, stretching his arms behind his head. He had won. New job, new house, a rich, beautiful woman wrapped around his finger. Life was perfect, Tasha's nightmare meanwhile. In a cold, sterile hospital room, Tasha slowly opened her eyes. Her vision was blurry, her body weak, and for a moment she didn't know where she was. Then she felt warm fingers wrapped around hers. She turned her head slightly and saw her sister sitting beside her, eyes red from crying, gripping her hand tightly. Confusion flooded Tasha's mind. Why am I here? Then suddenly, the memories came crashing in. Eric's anger, his harsh words, the push, the pain, the blood. Her chest tightened in panic. She placed a trembling hand over her stomach. My baby, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Tell me my baby is okay. Her sister's lips trembled, and she shook her head slowly. Tasha's heart stopped. No, she whispered, her breathing quickening. No, no, no. The door opened, and a doctor walked in, his face calm but serious. Miss Tasha, he said gently, I'm very sorry. But you lost the baby. The words hit her like a knife to the chest. A broken sob tore from her throat as tears spilled down her face. She gripped the sheets, shaking her head in denial. No, this can't be happening. No. Her sister quickly wrapped her arms around her, holding her tightly as she collapsed into her, crying uncontrollably. It's okay, Tasha. I'm here, her sister whispered, but Tasha wasn't listening. She had done everything right. She had loved Eric. She had carried their baby with joy. She had trusted him. And now, she had nothing. Through her sobs, only one thought burned in her mind. Eric did this to me, and she would never forgive him. Chapter 19. Two different worlds. Tasha's pain. Eric's silence. The hospital room was filled with quiet murmurs as friends, family, and well-wishers gathered around Tasha's bed. Her sister sat beside her, holding her hand, while Martin stood near the window, arms crossed, his expression tight with anger. One thing was painfully obvious. There was no sign of Eric. Martin had been trying to call him nonstop. Others had texted, left voicemails, even tried reaching out through mutual friends. But nothing. Finally, after another persistent round of messages, Martin's phone buzzed with a reply from Eric. Eric, I'll get back to you. I'm busy with work. Martin stared at the message, his jaw tightening. He immediately dialed Eric's number. It rang, and rang. Then voicemail. Martin cursed under his breath, gripping his phone tightly. Tasha is here, lying in a hospital bed, and he's busy with work? He muttered to himself, shaking his head in disbelief. Meanwhile, Tasha lay in silence, staring at the ceiling. The weight of everything, her loss, Eric's absence, the complete abandonment, pressed down on her like a heavy stone. After a few days, the doctors finally discharged her. The first thing she did was try calling Eric herself. No answer. She texted. No reply. Her heart clenched, but she refused to give up. Dragging her tired body to his apartment, she knocked on the door, then knocked harder when there was no response. Eric, please, she whispered, pressing her forehead against the door. At least talk to me. Nothing. She tried again. No answer. Finally, her calls started going straight to voicemail. That's when she knew. Eric hadn't just left her. He had erased her. Eric's new life while Tasha was drowning in grief. Eric was thriving in luxury. His new apartment was perfect. His new car, a sleek beast of a machine, turned heads wherever he went. And now he worked right beside Sophia, the woman who had given him all of this. They were inseparable. Dinners at high-end restaurants, spontaneous weekend getaways, and wild nights together. Sophia had given him everything, and Eric knew exactly how to keep her satisfied. A forbidden moment at work. It was an ordinary afternoon when Eric strolled into Sophia's office, leaning casually against the doorframe. She was on a call, her voice confident and commanding. But Eric didn't say a word. He just watched her. The way she moved, the way she carried herself. God, she was irresistible. Sophia glanced up at him mid-conversation, raising an eyebrow. "Do I have something on my face?" she mouthed. Eric smirked, shaking his head. When her call ended, she turned fully to him. "What?" she asked, amused. Eric took a step closer. "I'm just staring at your beauty, my love." Sophia chuckled. "Flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Lawson." Eric locked the door behind him. Sophia's breath hitched slightly. "Eric, we're at work." But he was already crossing the room, his hands sliding around her waist, his lips brushing against her neck. "Then we better be quiet," he whispered. Sophia gasped softly as he unbuttoned her blouse, his hands working skillfully, teasingly. "You're insane," she murmured, though she wasn't stopping him. Before she knew it, she was gripping the edge of her desk, her head thrown back as pleasure overtook her. Her controlled, polished exterior crumbled under his touch, her quiet moans filling the office space. By the time they were done, she was breathless, still leaning against the desk as Eric helped button her back up, a satisfied smirk on his face. "You're crazy," she murmured, shaking her head with a smile. Eric kissed her lips softly. "Maybe we should do it more often." Sophia exhaled, still catching her breath as she watched him walk toward the door, completely unbothered, completely in control. As he left, she leaned back in her chair, her mind replaying everything that had just happened. She had never done something like that before. And yet, with Eric, she wanted more. Chapter 20. A friend's warning. Sophia was still lost in thought, her lips curving into a small smile as she replayed the intense moment she had just shared with Eric. Her body still tingled from his touch, and a soft sigh escaped her lips. Just then, a knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Before she could respond, the door swung open and a familiar voice filled the room. "Busy woman," Jennifer teased, stepping inside. "You're giggling. Did you hit a jackpot or close a huge deal?" Sophia chuckled, straightening in her chair. "Jenny, I completely forgot we were supposed to meet today." Jennifer rolled her eyes playfully. "Clearly, you were distracted. Now answer my question, because I'm not letting this go." Sophia laughed, shaking her head. "I knew you wouldn't drop it." "Of course not," Jennifer grinned. "So spill." Sophia leaned back, tapping her fingers against the desk. "Well, there's this man," she began, her eyes sparkling. Jennifer's eyebrows shot up. "A man? Now this I need to hear." Sophia smiled and told her everything. How she met Eric, the passion between them, the gift she had given him, and even the wild moment they had just shared in her office. By the time she finished, Jennifer was staring at her in disbelief. "Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that someone you just met, you already bought him a car, rented him a house for 2 years, and made him switch jobs?" Sophia's expression softened. "Because of love, Jenny." Jennifer gave her a pointed look. "Are you sure this guy isn't playing you?" Sophia shook her head. "No. I told him that if he ever wants out, he should tell me so we can part ways respectfully. I'm not with him because I expect marriage. I'm with him because he makes me feel alive. And yes, I wish he would be mine forever. But for now, I'm enjoying every moment." Before Jennifer could respond, the door opened, and Eric walked in, looking effortlessly confident. He greeted Jennifer with a polite nod before placing a file on Sophia's desk. "Here's the file, Ma." Sophia smiled. "Thank you, darling." Eric flashed her a knowing look before leaving. Jennifer stared at him as he walked away, then turned back to Sophia, shaking her head. "Wait, that is Eric." Sophia smirked. "Yes." Jennifer let out a low whistle. Okay, I'll admit he's hot, but something about him. I don't know, Sophia. I think he's hiding something. Sophia frowned slightly. What do you mean? Jennifer leaned in. Just be careful. Investigate further before you end up with an STD from your sweet boy. Or worse, caught in a scandal. Sophia rolled her eyes. Jenny, please. Jennifer held up a hand. I mean it. And for God's sake, make sure there are no cameras on when you're, doing it. Sophia couldn't help but laugh. You're too much. Jennifer smirked. I know. Now, please give me what I came for. My daughter is waiting. Sophia handed her the file, and Jennifer gave her a knowing look before leaving. As the door closed, Sophia exhaled, leaning back in her chair. Jennifer's words echoed in her mind. Was Eric hiding something? For the first time, a small seed of doubt settled in her heart, to be continued. Chapter 21. A woman's instincts after that conversation with Jennifer, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, her friend was onto something. She wasn't the type of woman to be blindly in love. She had built her empire from nothing, made smart decisions, and always trusted her instincts. But with Eric, she had let herself feel again. And maybe, just maybe, she had let herself fall too fast. So she started her own little investigation. At first, she checked his phone. Nothing suspicious. His messages were clean. His call logs normal. Everything seemed perfect. Too perfect. Not convinced, she picked up her phone and called Jennifer. Jenny, she said, twirling a pen between her fingers. I did my research. I checked his phone, and there's nothing to worry about. Eric is sweet, loving, and completely mine. Jennifer sighed on the other end. Sophia, you know me. My instincts never deceive me. Remember back in our school days? Every time I suspected something, it always turned out to be true. Sophia leaned back in her chair, biting her lip. I know. But no buts, Jennifer interrupted. You've achieved too much in life to let some nobody ruin it just because you're having fun. Sophia chuckled. You're overreacting. It's been so long since I've had a man in my life, Jenny. Eric came in and swept me off my feet, and trust me, in every way possible. Jennifer laughed from the other end. Oh, I bet he did. You have no idea, Sophia smirked. He's amazing in bed, Jenny. He makes me feel young again. Jennifer's laughter faded into something more serious. And that is what worries me. When women start thinking with their bodies instead of their heads, they make mistakes. Sophia sighed, rubbing her temples. So what do you suggest? Jennifer's voice dropped slightly. Listen carefully. I can get you a testless medication, one that makes someone sleep a little longer than usual. Put it in his drink or food. Then check his phone properly. There are ways to hide messages on WhatsApp. You just have to know where to look. Sophia exhaled. She hated the idea of drugging him. But deep down, something in her gut told her to listen. Jennifer continued. And since you're the one who paid for his apartment, you have full control. Install secret cameras in his house, ones you can monitor from your phone. That way, even when you're not around, you'll know exactly what he's up to. Sophia hesitated. I really hope your instincts are wrong, she admitted. Jennifer let out a short laugh. We'll see, to be continued. Chapter 22. A game of deception. Sophia had always trusted her instincts, but this time she had ignored them. Until now. It had been 2 days since she secretly installed cameras in Eric's apartment. She had done it discreetly, making sure he had no idea she was watching. And when she finally checked the footage, what she saw shattered everything. Her heart clenched, her breath caught in her throat, and an icy wave of betrayal washed over her. She didn't cry. No, Sophia Lancaster didn't cry. Instead, she picked up her phone and dialed Jennifer. I need that medication, she said, her voice dangerously calm. Jennifer didn't ask questions. I'll have it ready. The weekend getaway that weekend. Sophia smiled sweetly at Eric over dinner. Baby, she purred, tracing a finger along the rim of her wine glass. Let's go away this weekend. Just you and me. Somewhere beautiful. Eric hesitated. He had already made other plans, but he couldn't risk Sophia suspecting anything. So he plastered on his best smile and said, Of course, my love. I'll make the arrangements. By Friday afternoon, they were on the road, heading to another city. Sophia played her role perfectly, laughing at his jokes, holding his hand, stealing kisses at stoplights. They explored the city together, visiting art galleries, strolling through parks, and dining at the finest restaurants. Anyone watching would see a perfect couple lost in love. But beneath Sophia's charming smile, her mind was elsewhere. You think you can play me, Eric? She thought. You have no idea who you're dealing with. The night that changed everything. By the time they returned to their luxury suite that night, Eric was exhausted. They stepped into the shower together, warm water cascading over their bodies. Eric pressed kisses along Sophia's shoulder, whispering how perfect she was. She smiled, tilting her head to the side, allowing him to explore her skin. But her heart wasn't in it. Her mind was on what she had seen. Still, she played along, laughing, teasing, giving him exactly what he wanted. From the shower to the bed, Eric had no idea that tonight everything was about to change, to be continued.